Today, I welcome a superbly talented part of the Shenmue music community to the dojo. You may have heard his music through the last few years, taking the original Shenmue tracks and recording and adding new elements to those to highlight the beauty of the original Shenmue soundtrack. So much so that he is now working on the music for the recently announced Dragon and Phoenix project. Alongside this, he's released EPs called Seisei, Yukio, and Serenity, all using Shenmue inspiration to create his own original tracks. My guest today is Richard Cartlidge. Hello, Richard. Thank you for joining me on the dojo this evening. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you, Matt. How are you?
Yeah, all good on my week off from work and puppy chaos, but we'll leave that there, I think.
And the match as well, don't forget the match.
Oh, yeah. I've got over it, just. No, they did very well. Congratulations to Italy, though. I know there's a few Italians who listen to this, and I've interviewed one of them, and he was giving me a bit of stick beforehand. So,
Well done.
Yeah, well done. Never mind, and I'm proud of him anyway. But we're not here for football as much as I love football. We're here to talk about obviously Shenmue and your music and your own sort of bits and pieces around it. But I want to dive into a question I always go into when we start these interviews, and that is, can you sort of give me a rundown of your gaming history, what got you into gaming, and how you discovered Shenmue itself?
Well, I've been playing games since I can remember, since I was a little kid. I was playing Sonic 1 and 2, and I love playing the Sega Mega Drive games when we used to have cartridges, which is strange now to think about it. I played the Sega Saturn as well. There were a couple of games that I enjoyed on there, like I was listening to the soundtrack to it the other day, actually. It was called Battle Arena Toshiden. I believe that was the name of it. And there was just some music there, and it just took me back. I was just like, wow, that's like music to my childhood. And I've just been playing games all my life, really. Just been trying to keep up to date with the latest games coming out and stuff for a long period, up until now, I'd say, where I still play video games, but not as much as I used to. I do still play Shenmue a lot, though. That's one thing I do. I definitely play Shenmue 1, 2, and 3 a lot. But besides that, there just aren't many games that I've played that kind of capture the same kind of feeling as Shenmue does, and how interactive the world is. I mean, I've not played many open world games, to be fair, but Shenmue was kind of my introduction to role playing games, and I didn't know this game. I've never heard anything about it until I read up in a Dreamcast magazine that featured Shenmue 1 in the beginning of this VHS that you got with the magazine. And as soon as I saw Shenmue, I was like, what is this? It was like, it wasn't like anything I'd ever seen before. And the storytelling and just the graphics, especially when I saw the graphics, I was like, I've got to get this game. Really, as I said, I still play games, but Shenmue is still my favorite game that I enjoy playing.
So, talk me through your first experience. Obviously, you saw it on the VHS that came with the Dreamcast magazine. Can you remember when you first got it and popped that into your Dreamcast? And do you remember what you did first, for example?
Well, I was going on about it for ages. I was like, I need to get this game. So as soon as I got it, I remember distinctly one thing is I got through the first chapter of the game. You remember when it was on 4 discs? And
Yeah.
those are the days. And I remember completing the first chapter before you go to before you go to the harbour. Sorry, and I realised that I didn't have a memory card.
So, oh no.
Yeah, and this is in the middle of the night, so I was very, very upset because I thought, oh no, I'm going to have to play it all again, and I'm wondering if I needed that little bit of information, because you didn't realise that when you played it again, you might have a different experience the next time. So I was very sore about that. I had to start the whole game again, but it wasn't a problem because I realised there were things that I discovered that I'd never noticed before throughout the first playthrough.
So how did the world draw you in to Shenmue? What was it about the world that sort of caught your attention?
It was just the people. You'd everywhere that you went, this was a living, breathing world. You could go into the barbers and speak to the barber. You could go to the Ajiji and speak to the restaurant owners there. There was just this. It was like living another life, besides your own. And I was just really engaged with Ryo's story and where he was going to go after these terrible events happened with his dad, and just the slow pacedness of it as well. Some people weren't such a fan of that, whereas, well, to me, I just thought that was incredibly different. That you could just wait out a whole day before you needed to be in a certain area, and then that would trigger a certain cutscene. I just think that's very unique, and I don't think games do anything like that today. In fact, I think Shenmue's a one of a kind game, truly. No matter how many open worlds I see, there's just something incredibly more engaging with Shenmue because you can talk to any character you want, you can explore any building you want to. It's just unparalleled.
Yeah, that's a very good word for it. And did you play Shenmue 2 straight away after playing Shenmue 1, or did you pick it up later on?
Oh, I had to play Shenmue 2. As soon as you got on that boat at the end of Shenmue 1, I was just like, I have to play the second game. So yeah, it wasn't so long until I obviously got Shenmue 2. And what was really interesting, I think in one of your interviews, um, one of your guests was talking about a similar event, that when Ryo gets off the boat, how isolated he feels from society now, because he's just you were at home and now you're out in China. It's very different from Debuita. And I kind of felt that as well with Ryo. Like you do feel like an outsider in the game, looking around for information. You're worried about where you're going to stay for the night. So I've never been felt so engaged by a character before. To be honest, I just wanted to see where Ryo was going to go next and how he was going to change over time, because Shenmue is a story about revenge as well. But I've heard Yusan mention before that we're going to see a lot of things change with Ryo over time. He's going to not so much. Don't get me wrong, I'd still love to see Landy and Ryo having a fight, but I don't know. It's just one of those games that I wish he could tell his story fully and without any restrictions, because as well as the Kickstarter was absolutely fantastic and one of the greatest E3s of all time, it's worrying that Yusan. I just hope that he has the everything that he needs to complete a fourth game, because people say they wouldn't mind shortcuts. If there was another way of telling the story through chapters and things like that, and I think that would be cool. But I think everyone would agree that we've all wanted to see Yusan just do the story that he wanted to tell. Do you know what I mean, Matt?
Yeah, no, I do. And obviously, we don't know where it's going to go story wise for Shenmue 4, but I do think we're all unified in that Shenmue's a game first. It's not for me to say that I wouldn't be happy, like with the anime, which we'll obviously talk about a little bit. I'm happy for more Shenmue products everywhere because it gives exposure to the franchise itself. But for me, Shenmue's a game, and I think you lose something if they carried on the story beyond Shenmue 3 that in a format that wasn't a game, personally.
I just couldn't see it done any other way, to be honest. Um, as it started as a game, all I've ever wanted as a kid is just to complete this series, and in the way that it was meant to be done. When going from this small place like Debuita and then going to a place like Kowloon was just so great for its time. And when we got to finally visit Niaowu in Shenmue 3, I thought that was really cool as well. They did a lot right in Shenmue 3. I really did think that Yusan really tried his best to capture as much of the Shenmue essence as he could for this installment. Um, Understandably, there was certain things that he wasn't able to finish. I do believe there was an extra place that he was talking about in the Kickstarter, and I can't remember it off the top of my head, Matt.
Baisha Village, it was in the Kickstarter.
Yeah, as soon as I saw the images for that, I was like, I need to explore this. This looks amazing. I would love to see more content like that in the next game, because Kowloon blew my mind as a kid. You know, going from Debuita to Kowloon, that was great. And I still am fascinated by Kowloon today. You know, the whole place itself. It's obviously not around anymore, which is a shame. But I was lucky enough to visit Japan, and I visited the Kawasaki warehouse, and that was an interesting experience. Unfortunately, I think that's closed down now as well, which is a real shame. It was pretty neat. It was this arcade surrounded by pieces of the walled city. You could see pieces of the walled city and like the windows and the opium dens and things like that. And it was just a bit mind-boggling when you first walked in. You're like, wow, this is a bit strange, but that was a very interesting experience, and he captured it so well. I noticed as well, as I was looking around at all the details, I was like, wow, he really captured the feeling when you actually go into Kowloon. I think he did that excellently.
I think he did. I mean, from the photos I've seen of Kowloon, it was very run down, very
It was a horrible place to live.
yeah, very dense and
Well,
horrible.
some people managed to secure a life there, and they said it was all right. But when there are places like opium dens and dentists who don't have licenses, that doesn't sound too good.
No, no, it doesn't. But I mean, I think the aesthetics that were in Shenmue 2 for Kowloon were very. I mean, it was only based on a small section of it, of course, but it captured it, that feeling of being in tight and close, almost that, not lawlessness, but a feeling of you're not quite at
What do you
ease,
mean? Yeah,
is the way I'd put it. So,
yeah,
but that's testament to Shenmue and its world building across 3 games, quite honestly.
yeah, yeah. I still am shocked these days. I was playing it the other day. Sorry, Shenmue 2, and I was just exploring just some random part of the stand quarter. I think, or in one of the buildings in the stand quarter. And I was like, literally every room is. You just go into a room, and every room's got detail, everything. I mean, just for its time, it's a marvel. Even looking at it today, I just think there's so much depth in this world that hasn't been, you know what I mean? It hasn't been captured the same way. I think he's a very unique storyteller, and he's a very particular person. He likes things a very certain way. And as I was saying before, the slow pacedness of it, and as it slowly builds the world and stuff, you really feel like you are in Rio's shoes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And that's testament to the world building. It's testament to the character building. It's everything together. The music, which we'll obviously talk about in a moment, and it's a very unique mix, as you say. The pacing's not for everybody, especially in this sort of gaming environment where I think gamers want faster paced experiences. But I think there's room there for a game that just asks you to step back. And Shenmue does that. That's the game that asks you to step back, to take your time, to take it in, and especially in the world today, which does go around 100 miles an hour. I think that's probably a life lesson in some respects as well.
What was your first experience, Matt, when you found out about Shenmue? I mean, have you always been interested in Japanese culture yourself?
I mean, Japanese culture, it was piqued by Shenmue, in all honesty. I mean, an abridged version of me finding the game was a friend showed me it in a Dreamcast magazine at school.
Yeah, yeah,
And I thought, I must play this. Like you, the graphics and the presentation of it was what hooked me. Then I actually put the game in and was living in this Japanese town. It was my first proper experience with like Japanese Asian culture.
yeah, yeah,
You give that with immense storytelling, a soundtrack to die for, which I think even these days stands the test of time compared to current modern games as well, and everything else with it. And for me, they just hit a gold mine, and
yeah.
it got a passion, much like you, where I just thought I need to see this through.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. I mean, the Shenmue Dojo has been around for a long time now. I remember when Shenmue 2 obviously was finished and we got to the end and we were stuck in that cave for a long time. Um,
Yeah.
the Shenmue Dojo never stopped. You guys saw it through till Shenmue 3 came out, and it's just amazing. I think I remember trying to send a letter to you, San, about how disappointed I was that I couldn't play Shenmue 3, but I think I might have sent it to you guys by accident. Bear in mind, I'm only a kid. So somewhere I find this really angry email. Yeah, there's no other game like it. There's no other game like Shenmue. I mean, it's impacted a lot of people, and especially a lot of creative people as well. I mean, the stuff on the community that you see when we've got people like Rio X, and we've got James Reiner, and we've got so many minds, involved in Shenmue, and it's a fan base like that you've never seen before. Everyone's so devoted to the franchise. They only want to see this man tell his story, and it's just great, all the stuff that you've done. I've been following you and James for quite a while, and everything that you put on Twitter, I'm always keeping an eye out. I want to see that Shenmue 4 announcement soon.
Believe me, so do we. Oh, I'm waiting for that day. I think we'll probably break the internet when that happens. I've got everything. I'm touching wood as I say it. We'll
Yeah,
see. We'll see.
that was great at E3 though, weren't it? I mean,
Oh yeah. I mean, E3. You take Shenmue 3 out of it. I mean, you're talking Last Guardian, which is a personal favorite game of mine. You had Final Fantasy 7, and I'm thinking we can't get any better than this. And then all of a sudden, Shenmue 3 turns up, and all hell breaks loose on the internet. It gives me chills to this day now.
yeah, I mean, Last Guardian, I was like, whoa, what is this game? And then Final 7 came up, and my best friend is a huge Final 7 fan, so he was just like, whoa. And then I saw Shenmue 3 on top of that. I was like, what is going on with this conference? It's just insane how much good games are coming out. And I still rewatch that clip to this day, where the guy, is it Michael
Oh, Michael Huber, yeah.
Huber? That's right. Yeah, when he jumps out of his seat, it's classic. It's so good.
Yeah, his reaction, I think, was all of us together.
Yeah, yeah. I thought that as well, actually. I was like, if there's any die-hard devoted Shenmue fan, there's an example right there. The way he jumped out of his seat, I was like, man, this is crazy. Absolutely crazy.
And that's what Shenmue does to people. And we're lucky enough now that I think the series is in a better place. I know Shenmue 3 divided opinion, and as you say, there were some things it did very well. There's some things it didn't do quite so well. I'm going to sort of move away from that because I think they've been discussed to death over I don't know how many interviews and whatnot. I want to talk a little bit about the anime because obviously what has sparked in part of the revival is the Shenmue anime. And what are your views on the anime and where do you see it going?
I think it's a great idea. I think it's good exposure for Yusan. I hope like more people will get into the anime and want to revisit revisit the games. As a Shenmue fan, I just hope they are able to capture, because we were talking about pacing. I hope we're just able to get a product that you could easily say that this is Shenmue, because I don't know quite what I mean by that, but you sort of just have a feeling about it. You're like, yeah, this is definitely a Shenmue thing, like a serious Shenmue thing. And from what I've read on Twitter, one of the artists who's working on it, I think, can't remember the name, but they said that it's going very well. Progress is really good, and hopefully they'll have something to show us very soon. I'm excited.
I have no inside information on this. This is purely speculation, but there's the Crunchyroll Expo on the 5th of August. It starts, and that was where they unveiled the fact it was even happening last year. And I don't know. I'm just thinking the stars are aligning, and we're going to get a trailer. That's my personal opinion. I've got nothing to back that up. It's just me guessing.
I cannot wait for it. I cannot wait to see that trailer. I'm just interested to see as well how Shenmue translates from a game to an anime. I mean, I do like anime, and hopefully this will be one of those series that I'm like, yep, this is another one of my favorite anime series. Um, I hope it just, I just hope the best for it. I mean, I think they've got really talented people on board, and from the artwork that I've seen, it has its own style, doesn't it? It's quite distinguished from some of the other anime that I've seen. So I'm very excited.
I am. I think it's a good thing as well that it has its own style because I think it will define it.
Yeah, at first, in wholeheartedly, I do. I am looking forward to it now, but at first I was very worried because I thought, well, we've always known it as a game. How would this translate into an anime? How are the scenes going to play out? I just hope it has that same kind of feeling of engagement because it's such a beloved world. So many people love this world. They just want to see it paid respect, I suppose. You know what I mean?
I'd agree with that, and I think because Jason DeMarco at Toonami and Adult Swim. I think he's a Shenmue fan as well. He's played the games, so I think he understands what we'd be looking for. I'm like you. I'm interested to see how it translates over from a game to an anime, but I personally think we're in very good hands with it.
I'm just surprised it's coming out as an anime in general. I mean, that's who would have thought of it? Who would have thought of that idea as a new way to get people involved in the story? I think it's a great idea.
And with that, we're going to play our first track of yours in this interview. It's the Do Neo Rooftop Fight, which is probably one of my favourite scenes in the whole of the series, actually. Nothing better than a counter elbow assault. So, yeah, enjoy, everybody. This is the Rooftop Fight. So that was the Dunio Rooftop Fight. As I say, it's one of my favourite scenes from the Shenmue series, and I think Richard's cover of this is absolutely fantastic. And it's from a massive breadth of covers that you've done over the last few years of various Shenmue scenes, but I think this is personally one of my favourites. So brilliant, and it's good to have you on to talk about your music. So my first question around your music actually is, talk me through sort of how you got into music, how you got into playing instruments, influences, and then sort of how you moved into doing the Shenmue music itself.
I started playing piano when I was 6. Mum and my dad wanted me to have a skill, so I started learning piano for a few years, and I did enjoy playing, but as time went on, I sort of fell out of love with it because everything was classically orientated, going in, doing your exam pieces, and then here comes your next exam. I just didn't feel much of a reward system from it as a kid. I didn't really appreciate it as much as I could have, I suppose. But later on down the line, my friend had a computer with GarageBand installed.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, I knew nothing, and you know, I I still to this day am still trying to figure my way around how I do my music. It's just GarageBand was my introduction, and I'd never really imagined that I'd be doing Shenmue covers. I just tried to write my own melodies, and to be honest, I think I started driving my friend insane because I kept going around to his house and using the computer all the time. He wanted to play Combat Evolved, and I was like, "Yeah, man, I'll be there in a minute." But like, I was just so fascinated by being able to create my own sounds. I'd always played about on the piano little melodies that I'd make up, but it's strange to think how now just how much Shenmue's music has affected the sort of music that I write. My original music, it's very influenced on Shenmue's sound. Um, and it's only up until recently I started writing my own material because I didn't know I didn't know where this music would sit. I was like, will anyone be interested? Do people want to hear more music like Shenmue? Which is a silly question, I suppose. So yeah, I just thought, yeah, just go for it. Just write your own album and see how it does. And Shenmue fans have been incredibly supportive of it. I was very surprised actually just how warm and welcoming the community was to some of my music, and it's it's strange having gone from like playing the piano and doing my exams and not really enjoying it to doing this now, which is what I absolutely love. It's kind of gone full circle, I suppose. It's something that I just love doing every day. When I wake up, I'm thinking of the next Shenmue song I want to cover and delve into how they got those sounds. And still to this day, like with some of my covers, you will hear differences. You'll hear some differences in the music. You're like, well, this should have been a certain instrument. And I just kind of think do your own thing, as long as you maintain the essence of the music, you should be okay. And along the way, people have just been really supportive about it.
They have. I mean, quite rightly among the community, your stuff's out there all the time. I remember when you started doing it, it created a really real positive impact, I think, on the community at the time in terms of a new take on the songs. As you say, they're not so different from the originals that you wouldn't recognize them, but actually I agree with what you're saying that a cover needs a personal twist to it. Otherwise, I think you lose a bit of your own personality if you don't have your own twist on some cover. I mean, when I was gigging in bands, it was the same thing. We'd put a twist on a cover because we wanted to have our sound on it without sounding arrogant. Is probably the way I'd put it.
Yes, that's right. Um, and it's obviously I still try every time with my covers to put as much of the Shenmue sound into my music as possible, but never be afraid to just kind of go with it. And if something sounds slightly different, people haven't complained so far, so they seem to like it. So I wasn't expecting, to be honest, Matt. The first time that like I noticed people started paying attention was I did a cover of Earth and Sea,
Yes, I remember that one.
Man Battle, and that's one of my favorite pieces. And it was just amazing to get a good response from that from the people who love the games. They really did enjoy it, and I was like, right, I think I'm doing something right here.
As part of your music, you're covering Shenmue tracks. Can you talk me through sort of the process of identifying the tracks that you're going to cover, identifying the instruments that you want to use, and sort of how you put it together into that fantastic final product?
I just try to emulate as much of the sound as possible. Some of the sounds that we hear on the music now is very without sounding without sounding rude. It's kind of broken up now. Some of the sounds. I mean, the music is still fantastic, and I still love it. But I always had this part of me that really wanted to hear like a remade version of it, and I just remembered something actually. There was a guy called Nameless Legacy who did a cover of Languishon, and that sort of gave me this idea. I was thinking to myself, right, I want to do what Nameless Legacy is doing. I want to get as close to these sounds as possible. So I spend a lot of time in the night going over the same sound. I'll replay it over and over again. I'll isolate the rest of the sounds and listen very closely and see if I can find something as close to that sound as possible. And it's really all. I don't want to make it sound that easy, so to speak, but I just kind of go on my own thing. I mix it my own way. I wonder if if the mixing's going to be good enough. I'm always wanting to get better each time I do a new track. Uh, and the equipment that I'm working with, I think, does the job. I mean, we also know about Joe and George's music.
Yeah.
If you've heard Joe and George's music, the music that they do is spot on. It's exactly like the music that you hear in the game, and those guys have just done some amazing stuff, and they inspire me as well. It's people like these musicians on YouTube, just these people who have been affected by the games. You really take something from that. You sort of get their energy, and you know, it's just a labor of love to me doing all these remixes. There wasn't a set plan to obviously keep this going forever until I noticed Lemon Haze wanted to contact me about potentially working with him. And that's when I sort of thought, no, I want to keep persisting with this, because there were times that I thought maybe I should, give it a rest for a while. But luckily, Lemon Haze got in contact with me, and it sort of reinvigorated me to continue doing what I was doing.
Brilliant. So, okay then, how and when did Levin get in contact with you about the Dragon and Phoenix project? How did it come about?
It was very straightforward. He contacted me. He contacted me on Twitter and just said that he loved what I was doing with the music, and he was wondering whether I'd be interested in working with him for the Phoenix and the Dragon and Phoenix collection. So immediately I was on board. As a fan of Shenmue, I was on board straight away. I was like, if I can do a good job and they like what I'm doing, then of course I'll do it. It's just a great experience for me as well, learning all these pieces from the games that have had such an effect on me. And it's just great to be able to be trusted with such a great collection of music, because I was concerned at first whether or not it would be good enough.
That sounds awesome. So, could you give me a bit more detail around your involvement in the project and anybody that you're working with as well?
Well, at the moment, I'm one of 3 people that are currently working on the music. 2 of us at the moment are remixing, and one of us is writing new material for the Dragon and Phoenix collection. Apparently, our progress on the games was slowing down a little bit last month, but we've picked it back up and we're keeping really busy. We want to make a really good product.
I mean, from what I've seen of the project, it's going to blow minds. Is your music going across both elements, the Dragon and the Phoenix, or will it just go on one of them?
I think I'm mostly involved with the Phoenix collection. So it's sort of a reimagining of a remix of the tracks, and a slight difference from the originals. But yeah, we've really made a lot of progress. We've got a lot of remixes done and a lot of new music, which I'm eager to see how that works in once we actually release this thing. Some of the screenshots I've seen from because I'm kind of the same as everyone else. I don't know so much about what's going on in development stages and stuff like that. I've just seen the screenshots, and it's fantastic. I mean, there's snow on the ground in some of the shots, like filling the streets. I think that was how it looked on the Saturn originally. When it came out on the Dreamcast, I think they kind of cleaned up the snow a little bit, and it wasn't as snow. But we're just putting all these features into it, like the magic weather system and stuff. I really want to see how that looks be really cool to see how it all plays out, gameplay and fighting mechanics and everything like that. And I'm just excited to be a part of it. I'm excited to put my covers on, and hopefully everyone enjoys it as a different sort of Shenmue experience.
I think they will, to be
Oh,
fair, and
told you.
yeah, very much so. And I think it's going to bring people to a new audience as well. I mean, the Dragon of Phoenix project has ended up on IGN, for example, when it first got announced. I remember that caused a bit of a stir across the internet. So it's a big deal. And I'm going to ask, you may not know yet, I don't know, is sort of how far through the tracks are you for the Phoenix project, or are you just being sort of given a few to do on a random basis?
Honestly, I'm trying to get as much work done as possible. I'm doing a track almost every night, and sometimes it will take a while for a track to be released, because I want it to be. I want to make sure that everything's ready. But at the moment, there's 100 remixes done, and within those, it's kind of guesswork how many I've done at this point. There's You sort of get an idea from how many tracks there are on my YouTube channel. You can sort of see an idea of how much music I've put together so far. But it's a very long process because there was so much music written for both these games. But what's great about it is I'm working with two other very talented people who also know Shenmue's music. So we're doing our best to reimagine it and give Shenmue fans something excited to feel excited about, something to revisit. I know we've got the anime as well, but hopefully in time when it's ready. I mean, no one knows for sure when this thing will be ready, but when the Dragon and Phoenix collection is ready, I'm really looking forward to that day.
Yeah, I think we all are, actually. It's going to be a landmark day, I think, in the Shenmue timeline, shall we say? I think it's probably the way I'd put it. And to have your music as part of that I mean, from my point of view, it validates the quality of the work that you've been putting out so far to then get involved in that project, in my opinion.
Thank you.
So
It's incredibly humbling, honestly. It's incredibly humbling when people post comments saying that I did a good job. I just feel so. There's no feeling like that. I've been doing this music for so long now. I still to this day don't know all the in and outs of the music. It's still a learning process for me. I'm still I still hear things in songs where I'm like, damn, I wish I could knew what the name of that instrument is. But it's a very interesting project to be a part of because I love this music, but I don't know everything there is to know about this music. So gradually, as I learn more, it's very exciting.
I think that's how music goes, isn't it? As you get exposed to new tracks, new sounds. I think that's just a natural evolution of somebody as a musician. I mean, I'm not a naturally talented musician at all, but I think back to when I first picked up my bass guitar to where I ended up when I finished gigging. I think my influences, my impression of music changed quite a lot over that time period. And I suppose, would it be fair to say it's the same thing for you, like across doing these covers and then into the Dragon and Phoenix project itself?
Yeah, it's a long process. It feels like it's been a long process for me to get to this point where I feel comfortable enough to do this because um, I want to make sure that I do this justice. So there's no feeling quite like playing in front of a crowd, but I noticed as I started spending more time doing these covers and learning to write my own Shenmue music and stuff, I just felt like I was in my safe zone. As I've sort of began these covers and stuff, I've learned to appreciate how freeing the experience of writing my own Shenmue music is as well. I mean, it's had a really big impact on me.
I'd also say the same, that Shenmue's had a profound impact on obviously my life and the way I view video games as a whole, as well as sort of video game soundtracks and how they sort of present themselves. And I also think it's had a huge impact on the community. Otherwise, it wouldn't have come back in the way that it did. You've started talking about your original track, so I'm going to take a pause right here, and we're going to play a song off of your EP Serenity. This is called Waters of the Lijiang, and it's one of my personal favourites. Welcome back, everybody. That was Waters of the Lijiang off of Richard's EP Serenity, which is a personal favourite track of mine, and the EP itself is absolutely fantastic. I believe it's still available on Bandcamp now, so if you haven't got it yet, make sure you pick it up, because you want some original Shenmue-inspired music, then you can look no further, quite frankly. So, talking about sort of your original music, how did you sort of get into going, right, I'm going to write my own original Shenmue inspired music? What started it?
I've always noticed that when I've been playing melodies to myself, when I was about I don't know, 14, 15, I kept playing Shenmue's melody over and over again. I was like, what is it with this da 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 da? And it's just over the course of time, the more music that I was exposed to with Shenmue, it just had this effect. It kind of just took over my writing process. The stuff that I write now, I can't really help it. I can't really control it. You know, it's just like it's a Shenmue song. So yeah, I mean, there's so many great tracks in Shenmue, and as I've been as I've been writing my own music, I've sort of just gained sort of a bit more confidence in myself to just kind of go ahead and, you know, if you feel something is good enough for releasing, people and Shenmue fans will like it, you know, give it a shot, see what happens. And people have been very, very responsive to it. People have been nothing but supportive about it. And the whole thing when you're writing an album is you have no idea where you're going with it. You don't know what's going to happen. You're just like, I'm just going to write whatever comes to my head, you know. And
Yeah.
sort of kind of like I'm pretty sure like the Shenmue composers had sort of similar kind of a similar sort of work ethic. Suzuki-san would tell them, you know, just write whatever comes to mind. You know, write something that just go ahead, write whatever comes to mind. And I kind of just went off that, and I thought, you know, just whatever whatever melody you create, just try and stick with it. There would be plenty of things that I'd scrap. I was used to taking things and getting rid of them and stuff, and I get lectured about it from my friend. He'd be like, "Please stop deleting stuff. Just release something and see what people think." And yeah, Serenity. I was like, right, 6 tracks. I think I've got enough material on there to kind of show people what kind of music I want to create and stuff. And just the response has been great. You know, I never really expected anything to really happen with it personally. It's such a very it's its own genre, Shenmue. I mean, you have plenty of influences. Like you'll hear rock music in Shenmue, you'll hear reggae music in Shenmue. There's all these different styles, and just along the course of me learning the piano, I just ended up playing a load of Shenmue stuff on my computer, and then I thought to myself, yeah, I should try and do some covers as well. I'll do my own music, and I'll see if I can recreate some of the original tracks. And I wasn't expecting my first song to come off as well as I think it did. I think it was the arm wrestling music, and I personally wasn't 100% happy with it. I was like, there were little things that could have, you know, I could have done, I could have changed, but people were so responsive to it, and they're like, "This is great, you know, keep this up," you know. And I was just like, "Okay, all right," you know. As I've wrote more music, I've just got more comfortable as a musician, and whatever comes out now feels a lot more organic and controlled. And it's just great to be also simultaneously involved with this remake project, which I had absolutely no idea about. As soon as I found out about the Dragon and Phoenix collection, I was like, "This is going to be amazing." You know, I was very eager to see how they'd update the game, and we've seen the screenshots, and it just looks amazing. And I really dreamed of the idea. I was like, it'd be great if I could get in on this. You know, if there was a way I could get involved in this project. And luckily enough, Lemon Haze contacted me, and the rest is history from there, really.
Yeah, very true. And speaking of collaborations, is there anybody in the Shenmue community that you want to collaborate with but haven't yet, or is that sort of on the back burner at the moment with the work on the Dragon and Phoenix project going?
Well, the Dragon and Phoenix collection is taking up a lot of my time because I really want to. I really want to get this product out and I want it to be really good. So like I'm always working to make this Dragon and Phoenix collection. This is my main priority at the moment. But I would definitely like to collaborate with other people in the Shenmue community. Rio X did reach out to me some time ago, and I still haven't got around to collaborating with him. I mean, if you've heard his 80s synthwave music, is fantastic. I would definitely like to try working with him at some point. Whoever wants to collaborate, anyone out there who feels like collaborating, wants something to translate, they've got their own art that they want to express online and stuff, just get in contact with me and I'll see if, we can do something. But Rio X is probably one of the top of the list, definitely.
Yeah, super. And like you say, his 80s synthwave stuff's top
Yeah,
notch, actually. It's really, really good.
that's great.
So, outside of Shenmue music itself, are you working on any musical projects currently, or like you say, is your time just completely filled with Shenmue at the moment?
In all honesty, my time is filled on the Dragon and Phoenix collection. That's what I'm doing mostly every day now. I stopped writing original music a little while ago now because I just wanted to focus on this. This is my main focus. I mean, I hope to write, as we were talking about collaborating, I hope to collaborate soon. I hope to have another album out, which would be great. But just for now, I'm focusing all my time on this remake.
Superb. Lovely. And I have one final question for you because I'm an evil man. To round us off, do you have a final message for the Shenmue community?
Yes, please keep supporting Shenmue. Keep the franchise alive, and let's see Yusan's story through, because we all know it's amazing. And thank you very much to all the people on my Twitter and my YouTube page who commented and enjoyed my music. I really appreciate all the support. So thank you. And thank you, Matt, for doing this interview.
Thank you for taking the time out of your evening to come on to the Dojo show. You've been on my list for a good few months now, shall we say. So I'm glad to have finally got you on.
Thank you.
And what I'm going to do to close us out of this interview is we're going to play one more track from one of Richard's covers. This is the Forest and Guilin game in Game 4. A big contrast from the Rooftop Fight going into Guilin, but this is one of my favourite tracks from the games overall. So I'm going to let this song take us away. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to listen to me, and I'll be back with another interview very, very soon. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye.